Krea 2 Turbo is a 12 billion parameter diffusion transformer that usually lives in the cloud. In this walkthrough, we get it running entirely on a single RTX 4090, quantized down to fit in 24 gigabytes, and then we put it through its paces across 16 very different visual styles. Some results are genuinely stunning. A couple expose exactly where diffusion models still struggle. Let's take a look. Here's the quick anatomy. The heart of the model is a 12 billion parameter diffusion transformer, but the turbo version is distilled, so it only needs 8 sampling steps instead of the usual 30 or more. Text understanding comes from a Qwen 3 vision language encoder, running in 8-bit precision. The whole thing loads from a single quantized file, about 10.6 gigabytes, which is what lets a consumer card handle a model this size. On the 490, each image takes only 11 to 18 seconds, and community LoRAs snap on top to redirect the style completely. Getting there took 5 steps. First, we pull the Q6K weights from Hugging Face straight into the models folder. Second, we clone a fresh copy of ComfyUI, the one with the newer Krea 2 text encoder support. Third, we point its models directory at our shared cache, so nothing is duplicated on disk. Fourth, we build an isolated Python environment with the exact PyTorch and QDA13 build the card wants. And finally, we launch the server, the quantized model streams, onto the GPU, and we are ready to generate. We start with pure photorealism, no LoRA at all. Look at the visible breath in the cold air, the golden rim light catching individual strands of fur, and the soft depth of field behind the fox. This is the base model doing the heavy lifting, and honestly it could pass for a wildlife photograph. A near-perfect result. Next, a character portrait, this time with the Realism LoRA dialed in gently at 0.7 strength. The skin texture is remarkable. Every wrinkle and pore, the catchlights sit correctly in the eyes, and the shallow depth of field feels like a real 85mm lens. This is where Krea 2 really shines, believable human faces with genuine emotional weight. Pushing the Realism LoRA harder, to 0.9, gives us this moody bowl of ramen on a rainy Tokyo street. The atmosphere is fantastic. Steam rising off the broth, neon bleeding into the wet pavement, water droplets on the table. The one giveaway? Look closely at the neon signs. The lettering is invented gibberish. That's the classic diffusion tell, and we'll see it come back later. Switching gears completely, here's a flat vector cartoon, again with no LoRA, just prompt engineering. The outlines are crisp and consistent, the color fills are clean, and the whole thing reads like a professional mascot design you'd actually ship in an app. Krea 2 handles this stylized register just as confidently as it handles photorealism. Our superhero cat leaps straight out of a comic panel. Notice the halftone dot shading, the bold ink outlines, and that dynamic action pose against the rooftops. The model even added a little sunburst for drama. For a prompt-only comic style with no LoRA, this is genuinely publishable line art. You might think minimalism would be easy, but big models love to over-render. Here Krea 2 shows real restraint, a single clean stick figure celebrating on a hill, in the spirit of an CCD webcomic. Nothing extra, nothing cluttered. Knowing when to stop is its own kind of skill. For branding work, here's a 3-dimensional letter K in liquid chrome and blue glass. The refractions through the glass, the caustic light on the floor, the soft studio reflections, it all looks like a polished product render from a design agency. This is the kind of hero asset you'd normally pay a 3D artist for. Now we bring in our first official Krea 2 style LoRA, dark brush. Instantly the whole aesthetic shifts to expressive oil painting, dramatic chiaroscuro lighting, and smoky negative space, swallowing a ruined cathedral. The LoRA completely transforms the mood while keeping the composition coherent. This one belongs on a game concept art board. The retro-anim LoRA nails a very specific memory, 1990s cell animation. The hand-painted sunset gradient, the soft film grain, the exact way the hair is shaded, it all evokes a classic television anime frame. Style LoRAs like this are where the model becomes a genuine creative instrument, not just a novelty. The soft watercolor LoRA gives us this tranquil mountain village. You can see the pigment bleeding at the edges, the visible grain of the paper, and the loose, unfussy washes that make real watercolor feel alive. It's delicate, organic, and completely convincing as a traditional medium. The vintage Tarot LoRA reproduces that unmistakable Rider-Waite woodcut look, the ornate border, the aged parchment, the twin towers framing a howling wolf. It's beautifully authentic. If you squint at the sun's face, you'll spot a couple of strange marks where the model tried to draw symbols, but the overall card is striking and usable. The kid's drawing LoRA is deceptively hard to pull off, because a model has to deliberately draw badly, in a believable way. And it succeeds. The wobbly crayon strokes, the too big sun, the slightly lopsided family, it captures the genuine charm of a child's artwork without looking like a filter. Delightful. This community LoRA from Deverstyle recreates the deadpan Cyanide-Happiness webcomic look, and it is spot on. The crude noodle limbs, the flat colors, the blank staring expressions, all triggered by a single keyword. It's a great example of how a tiny 200 megabyte LoRA can capture a very specific artist's signature. Here's where things get interesting. The blueprint wireframe LoRA produces a gorgeous glowing schematic of a motorcycle. The wireframe overlay and call-out lines look exactly right. But read the labels, and they're pure nonsense, invented words that only resemble text. The style is a 5, the actual readable information is a 2. Keep that split in mind. Asking for a technical architecture diagram pushes the model into its weakest area. The structure is actually impressive: labeled boxes, directional arrows, grouped layers, even a database icon, and some labels, like users to CDN, load balancer, and Redis, come out perfectly. But others degrade into near words like qua database. It's a beautiful mock-up, but not a diagram you could ship as documentation. And here's the honest low point. As a visual layout, this infographic is fantastic. The title renders cleanly. There are icons, pie charts, bar charts, and bold percentage numbers, all beautifully arranged. But start reading the body text, and it collapses into gibberish, and every section heading just repeats the word hydration. The lesson is simple. Krea 2 is a spectacular image artist, but it is not a typesetter. For anything that depends on real words, generate the design here and add the text in a proper editor.
If you like this video, please subscribe and share. Thank you.